8th, 2019 board meeting. In case of emergency, I would ask that you exit through the rear door or side door to the parking lot. We're going to stand for 30 seconds of silent prayer, and then I would ask Erica Hollis to lead us in the pledge from Pat Burke's office.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting will be dedicated in memory of Brian Hadich, Michael Dema, John O'Connor. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Supervisor Meakin.
Present.
Councilman Hart.
Present.
And Councilman Hanlon.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of March 25th, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Approval of the bid opening for Phase 5 sanitary sewer rehabilitation project for April the 4th, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. On to legal notices for proof and publication of a posting of a legal notice of a public hearing to consider a request for a special permit for property located at 3036 Seneca Street, being part of lot number 127, changing its classification from C2 to C2S for service of alcohol beverages in the town of West Seneca. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Is the petitioner here for location number 3036 Seneca Street?
Yes.
Very good. If you could just give us your name.
Good evening. My name is Francesca Falzo. I represent Ms. Barbara Laster. As you know, Ms. Laster has applied to the board for a special permit to allow her to serve alcohol. It is Ms. Laster's intention to open up a restaurant and sports bar at 3036 Seneca Street. This will be the Vault. Ms. Laster will be employing her nephew, Tyrus Butler, to be assisting her in running the daily activities at the Vault. This location is zoned as a C2 district, and as you all should know, this location has served alcohol for over half a century. Had it not been for the fact that the property had been vacant for the last few years, the Vault would be able to serve alcohol without having to apply for this permit. However, due to a brief lapse in the functioning of the bar, she is now in need of a special permit to serve alcohol. The Vault will function as a restaurant and sports bar, and will be targeting a mature audience. The Vault will be a fantastic sports bar. There are 7 beautiful 32-inch TVs, 4 50-inch TVs, 2 43-inch TVs, and on its way is a massive 80-inch TV. The Vault will be serving traditional American fare type food. At this time, it will only be open for dinner service. Ms. Laster's husband, Gregory, is a chef who has worked in prominent restaurants in the Buffalo area, such as Adams Mark, Embassy Suites, and the Marriott. He will be in charge of the menu for the Vault. Ms. Laster has invested in a security system. There are cameras surrounding the building, and she will also be employing a security guard for the Vault. Ms. Laster intends on utilizing a jukebox for musical entertainment. However, again, the primary function will be that of a mature audience who wishes to enjoy a good meal while watching a sporting event. Neither Ms. Laster nor her nephew, Mr. Butler, will tolerate any raucous behavior by any of the patrons. Granting the special permit would allow for 3036 Seneca to be a vibrant investment in the town of West Seneca, rather than a vacant piece of land. Ms. Laster has invested her time and money in this property. She has renovated and made it a beautiful place to enjoy your free time. To deny her this special permit would ruin her business and all that she has worked for. Again, I would like to reiterate that this location has functioned as a bar for over half a century. I do not see any reason why a special permit should not be granted, especially to someone who has invested so much and would be an asset to this town.
Thank you, Francesca. I'm going to ask any of the board members before we go to the public if they have any comments.
I had heard a list of hours of operations. What will your hours be currently when you open?
Currently, the hours of operation will be from Monday through Wednesday, from 4 until 11 p.m. Thursdays, they'll be open from 4 until 1 p.m., and Fridays and Saturdays, 4 to 3 a.m. I'm sorry, that was, Thursdays will be open until 1 a.m., not 1 p.m.
Very good.
Ms. Falzone, is the only source of entertainment the jukebox? Are you gonna have open mics? Are you gonna have bands? Or is it just the jukebox?
Right now, it's just the jukebox and obviously the TVs.
Okay, I'm just going to ask if you would be so kind to afford anyone from the public that has any comments. There being none,
I have a question. If it's
no, you have to come up to the microphone, come on up. And if you can have a seat, and if you wanna address
Hi,
your,
I'm Connie Cioli. I own the daycare across the street from this bar. And my question is, if it's gonna be a sports bar, why isn't it open on Sunday? And why the late hours?
well, it's a bar, so late hours make sense, but I can't speak to the not Sundays. Is the proprietor here?
I'm here, right here.
Oh, okay, very good. Could you just, answer that question? The Sundays, is that a day you prefer to be closed?
Well, we wanted to see how it was gonna work out before we started open on Sunday. We do need one day to recuperate and rest.
I would just think as a sports bar, I mean, football Sunday
For- yeah.
would be huge, you know, rather than being open at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday.
If we may add, it's not football season at this time.
Correct.
So at this time, we are not going to be open on Sundays. Once football season starts up, they will be planning on opening Sundays as business as well.
Okay.
And the other question is, how will the town assist in that, people will not be parking on my property and doing damage on my property and using it?
The same they do at all the other, like your ale houses. I mean, those cars park all the way down Seneca Street. It becomes an
Have
issue
you
we
ever gone to the bar when it was a bar back there?
myself, yes.
It was the Roxbury, I think, I don't know what it
I was there when it was the Pear Syrup, but I'm very old.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my daycare, which was a doctor's office at the time, was an overflow lot. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of beer bottles, a lot of throwing up, a lot of inappropriate activity, that should have been definitely in home or in a motel. Going on in my lot, which was a doctor's office at the time, but now it's my lot. So I am very concerned. I put a lot of effort into my property to keep it looking nice and functioning well. So those are my concerns.
And there are concerns that if those kind of situations happen, and those kind of things occasionally do happen, and I'm sure that the West Seneca Police will respond to that, as they have to other bars, like your, back in the day with Metzger's, I think where your daycare is Candyland?
Yeah.
Right, that used to be the Barrelhead, so that used to be a very busy area of town. So the police have taken on many of those issues, like at the Ale House. There was a lot of people parking at the post office and doing things like that, that the police curtailed with signage, no parking, and they enforced it that way.
Okay.
Excuse me, I didn't catch your name.
Connie Cioli.
Connie,
Cioli.
thank you, Connie.
Anyone further?
I have a question for the owners. At the planning board meeting, they indicated that Friday and Saturday they'd be closing at 2 a.m. Seems as though the time has changed.
No, it's still, it's 2 o'clock.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware of the time change.
Oh, sorry.
Actually, I was
Is it
Ms.
3 or
Falzone,
2?
would you just stay close so that we can get these on the record? So if you could just come up and answer that. Councilman Hart is concerned about the time change. Has it changed or not?
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware. It is changed to 2:30.
2:30?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone further?
Yeah, my name's Greg Bailey. I lived on Briar Hill Drive since 1991. Obviously, I've experienced a lot of things going on over at that residence. And, you know, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you. I mean, that's a big endeavor to open up a bar, and we look forward to it. I mean, we want a bar there, you know, we want a restaurant there. You know, it's obviously great for the town, it's great for our neighborhood. But, you know, what we don't want is what we've gone through in the years. And unfortunately, you know, we've gone through team nights, we've gone through bands outside, we've gone through, you know, music inside and doors open after midnight because it's too hot in there. You know, we want some stipulations that, you know, our neighborhood will just stay the same, okay? And that's what we're looking for. And it's all we're asking for. We want these people to succeed. Don't get me wrong. I wanna go over there, I wanna have a hamburger, I wanna take my kids over there, have a hamburger with them. We wanna go and watch some football. But I don't want the late night shenanigans, okay? I'm tired of it. Tired of it. You know, obviously we've been in a break here where we haven't had a few years of it. It's been nice. And, you know, obviously it's great for the town of West Seneca, the taxes, you know, the upkeep on the property. You know, I was very disappointed. Me and my wife actually talked about, geez, what would you do with this place if we could get it? But, you know, here, you guys have it, and I want you to succeed at it. But I want you to understand that, you know, if you wanna own it, live on the first house and, you know, deal with what we have to deal with. But we just don't want nonsense.
And I can appreciate those comments and concerns. You have children. It's a neighborhood of young families that are starting new, I would offer you that the biggest entertainment there is from their TVs. And what from I've read, the only source of music is a jukebox. Now, a jukebox affords you the opportunity to enjoy your meal, listen to music, and still hear the conversation at the table you're having.
And I get that, you know,
And I hope
you know, all
they
those
wanna
other
be a good
restaurants
neighbor.
had a jukebox too, okay? But they also had the pit where they had the bands playing. Okay,
That's
and they
not-
opened up the back doors and it was like, holy smokes, come on, man, it's 11:30, 12 o'clock at night and we can't go to sleep.
I don't think that's their objective here, from what I've read and what
I
I've
get
heard.
that, but I understand, but it's there, it's set up for them, okay, it's already there. So they don't have to do anything but put a band in the pit. So all I'm asking you guys to do is to listen, limit some noise level or some doors closed so that I'm 3 doors down from this place. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I have a question for our code enforcement. Jeffrey, if they were to do an open mic or a band tonight, would they need permits? Would they have to come into your office and file a permit for that event?
If it was a one-time event, there is a special event permit. Okay, that they have to hand in, showing the location and where the extra parking and everything that would be for the special event, and copies go to the police department, fire departments, and our office to be reviewed before it's approved. More of a regular basis thing, whether it was 3 times a year, once a month, or anything like that, the only way they could have live music would be to have a variance. Live music is not permitted in the town code, so they would have to seek a variance in front of the zoning board to be permitted to have live music, and that would also include an open mic. Any type of live music would require a variance. And any type of outdoor seating would also require a variance. So for any of those things that we're discussing here and the issues, they wouldn't be allowed to do it without going to the zoning board. And at that time, you would also have an opportunity to get up at the zoning board and voice your opinion against that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Jeffrey, what's the, when we have somebody requesting a variance, we have to notify the neighbors, how would that work?
Well, generally with a variance, the process is a little bit different than it would be for a rezone. A rezone letters get sent out by the town to all the neighbors. In the place of a variance, what's done is a signature sheet is given to the applicant. The applicant knocks on doors in the neighborhood to get signatures, to let people know that they're gonna be going to the zoning board for the variance. Now, There's not any requirement that they have to do 500 feet or anything like that at this time. However, it is also published in the Bee, you know, and that, you know, that, so it is
I
published.
get that, but that's a paid for paper, okay, so that's not, you can't say that that's community knowledge, right? Because somebody has to pay to get it.
But it also goes on our town website.
Okay, well, again, I don't know if everybody has it on the website, but you know, here we have to just, we have to keep people informed.
Sir, the only thing that I would have to respond to that is that is what the law
Could
says.
you,
that
could
we
you
have to
use
do.
the mic, please, so everybody can hear you?
Sorry, that's okay.
What the law says, in a rezone instance, we have to send out letters. According to a variance, state law says that we don't need any signatures. We simply do it, for the benefit of neighbors around the people seeking a variance, in hopes that some people would know, maybe you could talk, some neighbors talk amongst each other and let each other know, obviously that's going on right now. So maybe keeping that communication, but my hope would be that none of those issues would come to head. These people would have a successful business, and my hope is the same as yours, sir.
I agree.
Yeah, and our
That's
zoning
my-
board has made it their practice, if they don't have all of the signatures, they actually get out the map, they look, they see what properties are around there, they question, why don't you have their signature, why don't you have their signature, they've tabled items, and if your signature's on there, then we know you knew about it, because someone came and spoke to you.
And your name is?
Tina Hopper, the town attorney.
Okay.
And the most important takeaway from that is when someone does come in for a rezoning, we want to make sure that the people that spoke in the beginning of the process receive notification. So that would be an obligation from the board to make sure that yourself and others who voice concerns would be notified if they were asking for that special use.
Sure. And I understand, Candyland's concern, obviously my kids go there also. So, and I do know that, you know, that had turned into a trap parking lot, and so hopefully we can rectify that as well. So, but again, my concerns, I hope you guys take them seriously,
We do.
but we are looking forward to a good restaurant.
Chief, could you address, the police department's, function in a case like this? What an individual, say if they're parking in Candyland's parking lot, what do we do, what should that person do in that case?
Well, what we do is we advise them to get a sign that's posted with the town ordinance for parking, restricted parking in businesses, and post that on the exterior of their building. And then our guys can enforce it after hours. We can talk to the ownership of the property and make it part of our routine patrol, say that after a certain time at night, nobody's allowed to park in the parking lot, and we can go down and tag it. We will not tow out of there, but we can then enforce the parking ordinance. You know, I've been around here for 30 years. I've gone through just about every bar from the Pierce Arrow to whatever you want to call it, the last one was. You know, like any other business, it all depends on the proprietor, and we've had some good businesses in there, and we've had some not so good businesses in there. However, I know the ownership of the property tries to keep those businesses on the up and up, and whenever they're open in there, and we've had some long-standing businesses that we've had very good relationships with. And we do on a regular basis, when the bar is open, or any bar is open, we patrol the area. We try to regulate traffic within the neighborhoods the best that we can. And, you know, again, like the gentleman spoke, we like to see these businesses succeed. It's very healthy for the town to have successful businesses. So we kind of monitor the goings-ons of these places, and we try to mediate problems between neighbors and business owners, and for the most part, we're successful. So there's give and take on each party, and I would just caution that don't plan future problems based upon past ownership. You have a whole new group coming in there. They seem very prepared to succeed, and I look forward to seeing that business open again.
Thank you, Chief.
Could I have one more question of the owners? I don't believe there's a setup for outdoor patio there, or am I wrong on that?
Yes.
There is a patio.
From the Pierce Arrow days.
Do you intend to use that patio for serving food, or
No, not for eating, just for people that smoke.
just the smokers? Gonna put a top on it too? for the heater?
No.
No, they're gonna have to bring their own.
Big fan. Ah, yeah.
It's the smokers.
Thank you, Councilman. No, and thank you, Chief. Yes.
Okay, my name is Sarah Honan, and I live on Briar Hill Drive. And I know it was touched on already at this meeting, but I wanted clarification in writing. In their application to the board for their permit, they stated their hours were from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Wednesday. Thursdays open from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. and on Fridays and Saturdays from 4 p.m. till 3 a.m. But then at the planning board meeting, it said from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. And I wanted clarification on what the hours are going to be. And is it 4 p.m., is it 2 p.m.? How late is it staying open? That was one of the concerns of actually a lot of the neighbors, is that difference. And we actually talked to many of the neighbors, and we received 180 signatures on the petition asking for these hours to be limited. And if you're saying that you're going for a mature audience, I don't know about you, but I'm not out till 3 a.m. Nothing, like, to me, that does not scream an adult audience is a 3 a.m. Closing time. You have other local bars, PSG, Mooney's, Leo's, Duff's, they close between 12 and 1 a.m. I don't understand why it needs to be 3 a.m. in a residential area, because even though that property is zoned for commercial, you are surrounded by residences, and I don't, like, we're good, once again, we're a restaurant, we want to go for a burger and a beer, but 3 a.m. in my mind is no longer a restaurant. And the local sports bars don't have those kind of operating hours.
Sarah, I'll answer that one, excuse me. I believe the other bars that you had mentioned, or the facilities, they've also asked for longer hours, but I think times have changed. They may have asked for 3 a.m., but when they see that people aren't coming out after 12, they start closing, they change their hours, they modify. But in the beginning, you try to get the hours that you think are gonna work. But I think with the Uber and the Lyft and everything going on, and you're correct, I have 2 boys and they're not out past midnight anymore either. So I think they'll notice that when people aren't coming after 12 o'clock, they may change their hours too.
And actually, my question on that, I don't really see why this, if it's a restaurant, a sports bar, the sporting events are over by midnight generally. I just wonder if we can't come to an agreement to close earlier, at least for for say a year, see how it works, and we'll go from there.
And then the only other thing that I wanted to bring up to this board is that on the petition that we did go around and have the neighbors sign, we were saying just no teen nights, reasonable closing times, that if anything were to change, that it needs to go in front of this board, because once again, you are in a residential neighborhood, no live music or DJs with like huge sound systems, and it's over 20% of like and looking at the town ordinance, if more than 20% of the neighbors object within 100 feet, then you need 4 board members to approve it, which I know we don't have 4 board members. So with these 180 signatures, you're over that 20%. So I want the board to take that into consideration. Yes, it's good business, and it's great to have a business in there, but it's not feasible if a majority of your residents in that neighborhood are opposing it for valid concerns, because we shouldn't have to deal with the nuisance of it. We do pay the taxes here.
Sarah, I accept your concerns as a parent and raising young families in that neighborhood, but I also want you to know that what they are asking for and what you're asking for is a reasonable request, and I don't see anywhere in this documentation that any of those items, teen dance, open mic, bands, any of that is part of their agenda. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see that as your future, right?
No teen nights at all. No.
See, they don't want that either.
These were our concerns based on the difference in facts from their application to the zoning board, and then we didn't know what else is different, what aren't we being told, because things aren't coinciding. So as a neighborhood, we
Right.
wanted it in, like, we just wanted out there that these are the things we are against, because we want it in writing, and every other bar there has gone down that path, even if that wasn't their original path, and they didn't want that in their future, that is what happened. So that's where our concerns, and I know we shouldn't judge the future based on the past, but we would just wanna get out ahead of having the issues, so we're not calling the police, and we're not having the issues that we have had.
Well, I think Jeff Baska from Code Enforcement made it clear that any of those kind of activities that you've pointed out, which are valid concerns, absolutely, cannot happen without permission. And your name, like I said before, anyone that has issued a valid concern will be notified if any of those activities or things change. But to put those restrictions on them for time and hours, they too will find out that most of the restaurant bars here in our town, Orchard Park, Cheektowaga, they pretty much close at 1 o'clock. I mean, even on the weekend, you know, I know the proprietor of Mooney's, they close at 1 too. Sometimes 10 o'clock at night. So, again, if those things change, which I don't see that, because that's not part of what they're looking to do, you would be notified. And you would have the opportunity to object to that request.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming, Sarah.
My name is Mary Beth Gallagher. I live at 10 Lindale Court, which is 2 doors in from Center Road. And the last 4 years, there's been no bar there. When there was a bar there, I have a very elderly neighbor that lives in the first house, and directly behind her, there's an elderly woman. I can remember her having conversations. She actually put a system on her home because she was so afraid. So she put an alarm system on her home because she lives alone. You kind of keep an eye on her and vice versa. I can remember my bedroom is in the back of my home. I can remember hearing drunk people walking down the street at 2 or 3 in the morning, the language, the foul language, looking out the window, people urinating on her lawn, climbing over the fence to get into her backyard. You know, it's very upsetting. She was very upset. I was upset. No one should be afraid to live in their own home because people, and it was young kids, I mean, but people should never be afraid to live in their own home because someone got drunk at the bar down the street. And I don't want to see a repeat of that. And that's what my concerns are. So, I mean, I want to make sure that, you know, and again, I agree that you guys are starting a business and that's great for the town and it's great for you. I want to make sure that someone behind that bar turns people off if they're getting too intoxicated and gets them, now, I don't mean just getting them out of the building. I mean, what's going to happen when they're out in the parking lot and they can't drive and they don't have money to get themselves home? You know, what are you going to do about it as restaurant owners? What happens to these people? I don't want them left to wander the neighborhood at 2 o'clock in the morning. What's going to happen to them? Because that's when the vandalism starts and that's when the problems start in the neighborhood. And that's going to be your responsibility as you know, restaurant owners. What's going to happen to these people? You know, how are you going to solve that problem so they don't become our problem in my neighborhood?
Mary Beth, I think that's a question that will, you know, they would obviously contact the police department if they were in need of a situation like that. So I think that, you know, you can't foresee any of these happening only because, I'm sorry, you can foresee these things happening because you've experienced it. But I think the opportunity for them to establish themselves as a new restaurant, new proprietors, willing to take a chance on that location is something that we should give them the opportunity to do. And they're renting that space. They've done a lot of work on betterments of improvements to that facility, so the opportunity is there. And I'm sure that they want to be a good neighbor. And they want to make sure that this is a successful business because their success is our success. So I think you should just think of it as giving them a chance and know that you have an incredible police department that will enforce the law.
All right, I hope that happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Beth. Anyone further?
Hi, my name is Joanne Nagy, and my husband and I are former owners of Ralph's Place on Orchard Park Road. And I just want to say, as far as the hours are concerned, bars are allowed to be open, I guess, till 4, okay? But in my experience, we were there for 13, 14 years, and it just never happened. I mean, very rarely did it ever happen that we stayed open that late. I mean, during the week, we would sometimes close by 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock, depending on, if there's nobody there, you're not gonna have people sitting there and paying them to babysit or whatever, okay? So I just wanna let everybody know that being a former owner of the bar, it's very highly unlikely that they're gonna be open till all hours of the night. It just doesn't happen, because people now with the driving, the DWIs, whatever is out there, they're not doing it anymore. They're not taking that chance anymore, and it's just not happening.
Thank you, Mrs. Nagy. I appreciate the comments.
Okay, can I hand this petition in?
Sure.
To who?
The town clerk needs to clock it in,
Oh, thank you.
and then she'll give it to the town attorney.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Nagy.
You're welcome.
Anyone further?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Day. I live on Center Road, 2 plots next to the property in question. My concern as a person of the community is, what can I do as a homeowner being so close to this property if there's people who are belligerent around the area, if the noise levels, I know that they say it's just the TVs and it's gonna be a jukebox, but what happens if the noise level gets excessive? Like I said, I have small children. We live 2 properties away, and I need to know that, like, I don't have to worry about, hey, can I put my children to sleep when they're open till 3 a.m.
You would call dispatch, and they would send someone over if there was an issue.
So what happens if there's any type of vandalism, anything with people being around the properties? I mean, I guess where's the line of what can I call and report?
Stephanie, at one of the meetings at the planning board meeting, we all know the owner of this property, successful businessman, and he didn't become successful by having weak leases, if you will. His leases are very strong. I'm sure this one addresses all of those issues, you know, any complaints, repetitive complaints, things like that. When the chief starts getting calls, or the code enforcement starts getting calls, and they start talking to the property owner, things will change really quick. I'm sure his lease is ironclad on what they can and cannot do.
So if I were to have any issues, I can just call the police and they'll come and address it, whether there's vehicles incorrectly parked. I don't want to have to worry about getting up in the morning and not being able to leave my driveway because people have decided to park there. I don't want to have to worry about people hitting my vehicles because they've parked drunk, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, our police department would respond to every call. If you call 3 times a night, they'll be there 3 times a night.
And I don't have to worry about a long lengthy time of waiting till they show up.
Chief would have to answer response time, but I'm sure it's very good.
Our average response times, any call in this town is less than 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Anyone further? Do any of the, what?
My name is David Militello. I own a property at 3071 Seneca Street. I bought it in 1984, probably longer than most of you people have been in Seneca. I bought another piece of property next door to it at 3065. 3071 is a automotive center, which I have 5 tenants. That's duly my responsibility. And I understand paying taxes, renting, running a business, or a landlord, what it's all about. Next door, I have 2 residential tenants, and I also own a property at 3072. Seneca Street, which is across the street, which is just down from the Pierce Arrow. In that time, I can honestly say, I went through all the rigmarole with all the bars. We used to get up and on a Monday morning, I'd come in, and from picking up beer cans and I'm not gonna say whatever else that was in the lot, and all the stuff, me and my neighbor, Mr. Inglet, who runs climate control, we used to meet there on a Monday, and we used to pick up garbage bags of stuff. Now, as far as calling the police, I have done that in the past because a lot of the patrons used to park in front of my tenants' cars. The tenants would call me up and they can't even get out of their cars. Then they become mouthy with my tenants and that went on. A lot of times when I got there with the police, it was always became a civil matter. Everything becomes a civil matter with the police department. They used to park, vandalize some of my cars. I've actually caught 3 people, 3 juveniles that vandalized. It has nothing to do with the bar, so that's another issue. But anyhow, my objection is that every one of you town board members, if this does pass, I am not gonna get up and one Monday morning, I'm 73 years old, and pick up, God forbid, whatever I pick up that's on the ground due to the clientele.
Mr.
And I'm very
Militello,
upset about it.
I completely understand, and I think years past, there was that element of patrons. But they used to let patrons walk out with drinks, sit on that patio. Those patrons had those drinks and would bring them to their cars and then ditch them. That does happen. I don't disagree with you. But I see this more as a restaurant, not as a all-nighter bar where people are, dancing the night away. I don't see this particular establishment going in that direction. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Well, if somebody is wrong, I still gotta pick up whatever.
Well, you're gonna
that's
have to
on the
pick,
road.
well, whatever happens, we'll hopefully, you don't have to address those things. But I
Hopefully
think
it's
this
great.
is gonna be like your BSG, you're gonna have that, coming in for some good food, having a few
Nothing
drinks and
wrong
then
with it.
going home.
Nothing wrong
No,
with
there isn't, and I think we should give them an opportunity to have that success.
That's on your shoulder.
Well,
So you can do that.
no, and Mr. Militello, if that's,
You're making that decision. You just said that.
Mr. Militello,
You're giving them the opportunity.
that's correct.
fine.
I almost,
You're drawing the.
I'm gonna agree with the supervisor. The way we grew up isn't the same today. You don't have the ladies' night, you don't have drinking grounds, you don't have all that. Beer back when we were drinking was probably $1 a bottle. I have no idea what beer costs today. I bet you it's probably in the $4 or $5 a bottle range, okay? Times have changed, and I think the people see what they're up against, and they're gonna run a very honest, very respectable business. I'd probably frequent it myself if it's as close as it'd be the closest one to my home.
Again, we can all make that decision. You can make that decision. But I'm just giving my opinion because that's what I'm here for. I lived through it. I worked 38 years for the federal government before I bought my first property in West Side. So, as far as working for the government, but anyhow. it is
Thank you,
what it
Mr.
is.
Militello. Those are valid concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night. Anyone further?
So I'm Ralph DeRigo. I own the property. I bought it from Frank McGuire after it was Lagoon. And I've owned it for almost 20 years. So my lease, to mention what Mr. Hanley was saying, the lease is 20 pages long. So it's a very comprehensive lease in that 20 pages. And it allows me to terminate the lease in the event there's, for example, a violation of the liquor law, any of those kinds of things that would be a bad experience. This lease allows me to terminate it. Now, these people came to me through a real estate broker, but I don't just lease the property out easily. I've talked to these people on a number of occasions. I know what their background is. This gentleman, you know, they're gonna cook, these people are gonna run the place. They've hired West Seneca people to be bartenders and to work in the place. They've invested tens of thousands of dollars into that building up to this point in time. I will invest, it will be roughly $35,000, $40,000 to fix that parking lot the right way. So it'll be roughly $100,000 worth of investment into this building. They want to do a good restaurant sports bar. They're not looking for a teenage type of bar or a young person bar. He told me they're not looking for people under 21. And you know, they're looking for an older group of people. They want to serve good food. They want you to be able to enjoy the 14 TV sets that they have there. They're planning on putting an 80-inch TV set, and they have 13 others there. That's what they're planning to do. And they're entitled to an opportunity. They're entitled to a chance. This has had this special permit for 50+ years. So the code enforcement officer in this town is, you know, on top of these kinds of things. The chief has called me whenever there's been a problem in the past, and believe me, I'll get involved if there's a problem like that, and we'll correct the problem. I don't anticipate, in the several conversations that I've had with these people, that that is going to be an issue. They plan on security, they plan on cameras on the outside. They, you know, the way they've set this thing up, the money that they've invested, they're long-term people, and that's what they want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Lurigo.
Ralph, just a question for you. What kind of lighting is in the parking lot? I don't recall. It's been dark for a while.
Gene, I think the lighting is just on the building that, you know, faces out to the parking lot. So I think that's the lighting that we have. I don't think we have any separate pole lighting out there at this point. Like I said, the whole parking lot will be resurfaced and redone. And, you know, so, but the lighting is on the building facing out. So, you know, you have a sufficient amount.
It should be adequate. A lot of the concerns, of course, are with beer bottles and those types of things. I'm assuming that I could not walk out of that building with a beer bottle or a can, okay, for one thing. And if there is a mess, like in the parking lot, I'm assuming that your lease may require them to clean it up?
They will police the parking lot. Look, I respect every one of the neighbors. I understand they have the right to live in their house peacefully, and certainly they do. I think that they will be able to. This will be a benefit in terms of the town. I think that we could use a good restaurant, this type of facility in the town. It's certainly zoned for it, and it meets all the special permit requirements. So that's why it's on multiple occasions got this special permit. I understand people are always concerned about what they don't know or what they perceive it to be. But again, this is a good location for it. That is what the building is built for. And these people have assured me of how they're going to operate. And my lease backs it up.
Thank you, Ralph.
Of course, my only concern at this moment is the 2:30 a.m. Although the type of restaurant that I think it's going to be, it may adjust on its own.
Everybody has, as the woman who owned the bar said, they all have to get their experience rated. I mean, they put a lot of money into it in terms of, first of all, I've read the application, and the only difference in the application was the hours were to 11 o'clock Monday through Wednesday, 4 to 11 Monday through Wednesday, Thursday to 1 o'clock, and Friday and Saturday it was to 3. And when these people came to the planning board, they reduced that to 2:30. So the only difference from the application to what was said at the planning board is that one thing with regard to the Friday and Saturday. But I think they've agreed that they would reduce it to the 2:30 time frame. And I think they'll learn from experience that that's not necessary.
If they're gonna attract the older crowd up to even my age, I guess. If they have good foot, well, I didn't wanna say that.
Yeah, that's all right. I accept it.
Your hair is still dark. But anyway, my next question would be, how are they going to control what happens outside in the parking lot? They're gonna have security
Yes,
at the
they will.
door, and they'll be responsible for keeping an eye on what people are doing, where people are going, that type of thing?
Yeah, they've had experiences in restaurant bars before. I mean, they're not coming into this brand new. They know how critical it is at the beginning, certainly to make sure how the setup is, so that people that come there understand that from the very beginning, what this is all about. This is about going there, eating good food, having a beer, watching a sports event, and going home sober. That's what they want. That's what drives business. That's what keeps business going. Those young type of bars, they come and go every couple of years. These people have a 4-year lease with extensions in the lease agreement to continue on. And the investment that they put in it, that's what they're hoping to do.
Do you know what the menu is going to be?
You told me today, I'll let him explain it to you.
Okay. Thank you, Ralph. All right, so does any of the board members have any additional comments? Well, I know Jean, you've made your councilman.
Sure, go right ahead, come on up. So, once again, there's a discrepancy with what we're being told the hours are. 2:30, and I have the meeting minutes from the planning board meeting, and we were told 1 or 2 a.m. on the weekends, and then we're hearing 3, no, it's 2:30, no, it's 2:30, like.
What is it?
We want it in writing, what it is.
2:30 on,
Friday and Saturday?
And then 11 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Monday through Wednesday, 11 p.m., 1 p.m., or 1 a.m. on Thursday.
Thank you, it just kept changing, and I'm
No,
like.
you have every right to ask. Thank you so much for clearing that up. Ms. Falzone, do you have anything additional for the board?
No.
Very good. And the board has no additional comments or questions? I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve a special permit for property located at 3036 Seneca Street, being part of lot number 127, changing its classification from C2 to C2S for service of alcohol beverages in the town of West Seneca.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Mrs. Laster, I wish you all the luck. Yes. Adding the stipulations
From the planning board?
from the planning board.
The stipulations are subject to paving the parking lot and submission of a parking plan and a drainage plan.
So we will amend that motion, and we would add for, property located at 3036 Seneca Street, being part of lots number 127, 128, changing its classification from C2 to C2S for service of alcohol beverage, conditioned upon paving the parking lot, submission of parking plan and drainage plan.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Just one quick
Motion
question.
carried.
Does that also have to be stipulated at 2:30 like the planning board?
No, that was part of the record. So now, Ms. Laster, I bid you the best of luck, my friend, and we look forward to coming in for a nice burger.
And hopefully we will.
Yeah, we will.
We have the grand opening, I want everybody there.
Well, we'll do a ribbon cutting. Join the chamber and we'll have a nice ribbon cutting for you. Thank you so much for taking time with us today. Okay, we'll let everyone that was part of that, and then we'll go on to item.
Oh, wait, you know what, are you all students? We'll sign off for you because I know it's getting very late and we need to go home.
Really? This is gonna be long. We got slow. It's gonna be long. Really, that's not showing good leadership. Making the kids skip out early, they don't keep them skipping early in class.
Just remember who said that.
They don't get to skip out early in class. Leadership, with a capital L. Everything starts at the top, and you're at the top, lady.
Don't pay any attention. I'm intoxicated.
I was at the hamburger place before.
It's late though, it's 8 o'clock. And you can't drive past 9. You can't drive past 9, man. Drive safe, you have a good one.
Okay, we're moving on to legal item number 2. Proofs of publication and posting of a legal notice of a public hearing to consider a request for a special permit for property located at, Matt, you got a minute? 3369 through 3885 Clinton Street, being part of lot number 28, changing its classification from C2 to C2S for service of alcohol beverages. Is the petitioner here? We're gonna open up the public hearing. Thank you so much. I need a second.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to open up the public hearing, and the petitioner is here. Can you just state your name, sir?
Hi, Robert Camiolo.
Just tell us.
Tell us about your request.
Okay, well, this permit was already approved about a year ago, and I haven't been able to open the place serving alcohol yet. I've decided to take a phased approach in this endeavor because of the amount of money and time and everything that it takes. I mean, it's quite an undertaking. So I decided to do it in a phased approach, and if you want me to go through the phases, I can do that. So to start out phase 1, I'm going to open, I have a big kitchen there, and that's going to be open for catering only. There's nobody's going to be coming in at all. No outside customers, drop-off catering only. So I'm planning, hopefully by the beginning of the fall, I'm gonna open, there's a banquet space in the back that has a small bar which has about 6 seats total. So in that dining area, we're talking maybe 15 to 20 people max. And that's the second phase. And then the third phase, I'm gonna open up the other side, and then hoping by January 2020, but don't hold me to that. It's probably gonna be more like the summer of next year. And the hours of operation for this bistro, I'm just gonna call it, refer to it as a bistro, is 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's for the cafe bistro phase 2. And when we open up the other side, we'll just call it the bar. That one is going to be 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So I'm taking I'm not doing 2 o'clock in the morning. I look at it as anything after 12, it's be somebody else's problem. I don't, it's tough on the staff, it's tough on me. I don't want to have to deal with it. So.
Very good.
Do either board members have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
The only I'll say to Mr. Jamiolo is, I remember this is a long, drawn-out process, and I remember the early meetings where the neighbors were maybe a little bit contentious. However, you have satisfied all those needs. Matter of fact, at the last meeting, I believe you and your neighbor came together and left together. So you have agreed, you have kept your promise for everything that you have told the neighbors over there, parking lot, fencing, everything that you've done. So I just want to commend you on that. So you have a good relationship with your neighbors going on over there. So I hope your business succeeds very well too.
Thank you.
All right, then, if there's
No additional questions? I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Jeffrey.
I would just request that you add the stipulations to this, special use as well.
I do not. We didn't get them.
You did. I gave them to you. It's not on the agenda, you
Can I
get
just
it a
read it
week
in the
early,
record?
so that you.
Oh, I did get it. I already looked at it. It's not with me though.
So the planning board recommendation,
Hold on. Don't go too fast. I gotta write it down.
planning board recommendation, shall be permitted following these stipulations. Number 1, limit the west driveway to a one-way entrance and the east driveway to a one-way exit. Live music is prohibited on the patio. Construction of an 8-foot fence on the west from the rear of the building and continuing to the rear 100 feet.
Say that again?
Sorry, there's still like 3 more. Construction of an 8-foot fence on the west from the rear of the building and continuing to the rear 100 feet with a living foliage fence for additional screening. And number 4, construction of a 6-foot fence on the east side of parcel B, 2 feet off the property line to screen the full length of the house to the east.
Thank you so much for that. I'm gonna make a motion to, hold on. There we go, ready?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the special permit for property located at 3369 through 3885 Clinton Street, being part of lot number 28, changing its classification from C2 to C2S for service of alcohol, along with all the provisions 1 through 4 provided by the planning board, and in the town of West Seneca.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Good luck. Have a great night.
We'll see you in there soon.
That I look forward to.
In there, well, you know what, is you place some orders, I'll drop it off.
That sounds great. We have a lot of events that people would like to know that. Thank you, sir. Take care. God bless.
Is that okay, Jack, or no? I already got it. I know, I saw it. And then I asked, I said,
You should try to do that.
I know, never mind. Okay, ready?
Moving on to, does anyone from the public have a comment on any of the items? Okay, moving on to item number 1. From our town attorney, Tina Hawthorne, please remove Drescher Malecki LLP as accounting firm to perform an external audit of governmental activities, each major fund and aggregate and remaining fund information of the town, and any other services provided by the order of the town board, including additional services involving accounting standards and consultations.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item number 2 is also from Tina Hawthorne, our town attorney. Please find the attached 3 engagement letters for the year end for December 31st, 2018 for R.A. Mercer and Company, P.C., and recommending that the town authorize the supervisor to execute the engagement letters.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 3 is from Steve Tanner, town engineer, receiving 2 separate bids for Phase 5 sewer rehabilitation contract. A copy of the bid checklist and bid tabulations enclosed for the information and review. The low bidder was National Water Main Cleaning Company of Newark, New Jersey, at a bid amount of $1,590,924.40. They have reviewed their bid, made checks of all their references, and they are comfortable with the bid and ability to perform their work, and have received favorable feedback relative to their experience with National Water Main Cleaning Company. Therefore, accepting the bid received from National Water Main Cleaning Company for Phase 5 sewer rehab contract contingent upon providing the necessary MWBE documentation, other paperwork required by New York State EFC, and awarding them the contract in the amount of $1,590,924.40.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 4 is from Matthew English. Please terminate Zachary Pychowak as Buildings and Grounds part-time labor effective April 1st, having the supervisor sign the proper documentation for Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Also from Matthew English, our highway superintendent, please appoint Jake Weber as Buildings and Grounds Department part-time seasonal laborer April 22nd through September 22nd, 2019 at a rate of $11.10 an hour.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 6 is also from Matthew D. English, our highway superintendent. Please change the following employees in Buildings and Grounds from part-time laborers to sanitation part-time seasonal laborers from April 22nd to August 30th, 2019 at a rate of $11.10 an hour, and having the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 7 is also from Matthew English. Regarding buildings and grounds status change, please change the status for the following buildings and ground department employees from part-time laborers to part-time seasonal laborers effective April 22nd through September 22nd, 2019 at a rate of $12 an hour. Rick Mingle, Harold Schwartz. Please change the status of the following buildings and ground department employees from part-time laborers to part-time seasonal laborers effective April 22nd through September 22nd, 2019 at a rate of $11.10 an hour, and have the supervisor sign the necessary forms with the Erie County personnel. Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 8 is also from Matthew English. Please change the status of the following sanitation department employees from part-time laborers to part-time seasonal laborers at a rate of $11.10 an hour effective April 29, 2019 through August 30th, 2019, having the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 9 is from Chief Dens. Kindly remove Eric Conley from his position as Deputy Emergency Manager. Appoint him as National Disaster Service Coordinator effective Tuesday, April the 9th, 2019 at a rate of $25 per hour when he is in service. And further authorize the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 10 is also from Chief Dens. Kindly remove Peter Spilsbury as from his position, National Disaster Services Coordinator. Appoint him as Deputy Emergency Manager effective Tuesday, April the 9th, 2019, rate of $20 per hour when he is in service, and authorizing the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 11 is also from Daniel Dent. Please authorize my attendance to New York State Chiefs of Police Training Conference, July 21st through July 24th in Rochester. This is an annual training event I have routinely attended in the past, and there are sufficient funds budgeted in the 2019 police training course lines.
Second.
Anything on the question? All
Yeah,
in
just
favor?
curious, Chief, what kind of training, does this involve for a chief of police?
Well, we go over items such as 207C disability, hiring practices, interviewing practices, legal updates that are coming out of the governor's office. It's mostly all administrative training that we do, management courses, best practices, and just about anything that you want to have. It is very structured. I am on the planning committee for this because it's in Rochester. When we had it in Buffalo, I helped run it, and I was asked to be on the planning committee up there. I could tell you that it is numerous subjects that we're going to be talking about up there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Chief. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 13 is from Lauren Massett, our Recreation Supervisor. Item number 12 from Jacqueline Felser, our Town Clerk. Kindly accept the resignation of Caroline Kane as part-time temporary records clerk and part-time clerk effective March 9th, authorizing the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 13 is from Lauren Massett, our Recreation Supervisor. Per the attached list, appoint the following list of individual. Corresponding titles and rates of pay effective May the 1st, 2019. Please change their status from part-time to part-time seasonal effective June 1st, 2019 through September 1st, 2019, authorizing the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Just a quick question, do we now have enough lifeguards to, run the pool this summer?
Unfortunately, we do not. We're a little over 1/3 of the way there in order to run the pool.
When does the pool open?
Hopefully July 1st.
Very good. You'll be fine. Positive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
People can apply.
Yep, we're having open interviews in April.
Just an ad.
That's a good idea.
Item 14 is from Lauren Massett. Kindly move to approve the 2019 Veterans Camp Day Camp Safety Plan and Field Trip Itinerary. These written plans address the current requirements. of the Erie County Department of Children's Camp Permit.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 15 is also from Lauren Massett. Kindly move to approve the attached Let's Play Baseball program.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 16 is also from Lauren Massett. Please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with the American Legion's State Department of West Seneca American Legion Post 735 for the use of the town of West Seneca baseball and softball diamonds.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Yeah, on the question, they generally just use the 90-foot diamond, I believe, at Centennial.
Veterans.
Yeah, sorry,
It's okay.
Veterans Park.
All in favor?
They don't, Matt?
Yes, that's what they use.
They use softball fields too?
Who's that? The Legion? No.
American Legion.
Who's getting married? Thank you. All in favor? Motion carried. Next item is also from Lauren Massett. Please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with DBA Sportsplex Operations and Development Association, South Line Athletic Association, for use of the town of West Seneca baseball and softball diamonds.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 18 is also from Lauren Massett. Please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with USA Track and Field Life Church to hold their annual Run for Life 5K on August 3rd, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Also from Lauren Massett, please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with USA Track and Field for St. John Vianney to hold their annual 5K on July 18th, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 20 is also from Lauren Massett. Please allow the supervisor to execute the necessary documents to enter into an agreement with the USA Track and Field 14 Holy Helpers Parish to hold their annual Mathics 5K on May 4th, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the
Just
question?
a question real quick, just so that people know, these races are happening in different parts of the town, so I don't think many people will be, have concerns or problems with it, or be blocked or held up by these races.
Councilman, all in
Yeah,
favor?
I know there have been, complaints in the past about repeated races in the same locations, but this is not the case here.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. This item was handed to us from Tina Hawthorne, and I hereby request a public hearing to be held from this board to adopt the amendments to the West Seneca Town Code, Chapter 77, Flood Damage Prevention, Local Law Number 2 for 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Yeah.
Tina, you want to address that?
Yeah, how'd you know my question? Would you address it?
Yeah, and the notice should have said, that we'll hold the public hearing on May 6th, 2019. So, the DEC and, FEMA have requested changes to our current legislation in the town code under chapter 77, which addresses the floodplain mapping, and not following their request could result in loss of certain funding. So we're making it a priority.
Thank you, Tina.
Hey, just, Jeff, your department has dealt with this new map, or is that engineering?
That's the engineering department. I have had a chance to look at it. There are some changes, but that's through the engineering department.
You don't think the changes are really gonna be that material? No.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Town Attorney. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Okay, I'm just gonna run down to Lauren. Oh, wait. Anyone from the,
This is terrible, isn't it? I should have had some dinner and then I would.
okay, let's accept the reports from Jacqueline Felser, Town Clerk, Receiver of Taxes for March 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Jeffrey Schieber, Code Enforcement, Building and Plumbing, reports for March 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Approval of the warrant.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Anyone
From the public that has any comments? None? Okay.
Matt, I just want to know when you start the yard waste collection?
May sixth.
May sixth,
May
okay.
sixth is when the trucks will go out. I mean, we'll pick it up now, because a lot of people mix it with the garbage and the cans.
Yeah, I
you
saw
know.
that today, yeah.
Yeah, but May sixth is when we start the actual, the trucks where we'll turn it back into the mulch for the residents.
Oh, okay, that's fine to know.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Toy. Anyone further? Very good. Lauren, do you have anything for us?
No, Madam Supervisor, thank you.
Okay, very nice. Tina, do you have anything for us?
No.
Councilman Hart?